Now, from time to time, we realize that I'll actually talk about slightly more historical subjects. Well, today, I'm gonna do just that. This is one of the things that are, kinda historical in a sense that it isn't really used the way it is anymore. However, it still remains extremely relevant in a lot of the things we do today. So, well, it's not completely devoid of value. What is it we're talking about? We are talking about HTML. More about this after the break.
This is 0612 TV.
Welcome aboard.
Hello YouTube and welcome to another random Wednesday tutorial. Today, we're gonna actually look at HTML. First of all, HTML stands for Hypertext Markup Language, and well, it's actually what makes web pages work. In fact, if you want to see HTML in action right now, you can just open your browser, browse to any website you like, save it, and then open the .htm or .html file in a text editor of your choice. You will see things like this. These are HTML tags and actually help in telling your web browser to display things differently. So before we begin, let us take a look at what HTML really is and how it works. HTML is a markup language. What this means is that if you have a document, essentially what you're doing when you apply HTML to it is you are marking out places where you want to change the format. I suppose it is a great entry point to actually, starting to wrap your mind around programming concepts, except that this is so simple that people don't normally consider this programming. But we won't talk about that today, we're just gonna focus on HTML and how it works. Now, earlier on I actually used the term tags, and that actually does refer to the little things HTML adds to a document. For example, HTML tags look like this. In general, this is the form in which all HTML tags take. Essentially, it is surrounded by angle brackets, and there is a little command on the inside. Some commands have a start and end point, and so as to distinguish between the start and end points, you add a slash to the end point. And essentially, that is HTML in a nutshell. As a rule, that is really all there is to HTML. However, of course, you wouldn't be very happy if I stopped the video here, so let us actually jump right in and look at some of the more practical examples in which we can actually use HTML. Now, in order to do that, we're actually going to have to look at many of the individual commands that HTML provides. Obviously, we're not going to look at them all because there are quite a lot. I'm actually going to cover just a few examples to give you a rough idea. And the reason why I'm actually doing this is because, well, people don't normally write web pages in pure HTML these days. I mean, you can if you want to, and in fact, I do that, but it's not efficient and it's not fancy. So yeah, I mean, if you want to have a Web 2.0 or Web 3.0 look to whatever you create, chances are writing your web page in pure HTML isn't going to cut it. But once again, that is not our concern for today. Today, we're just going to confine ourselves to HTML. Now, as hinted at earlier, web pages, that is HTML or HTML files, are actually just text files. What this means is that in order to create your own HTML web page, simply open Notepad or whatever other text editor of your choice and start writing. Now, HTML files have a certain rough format, so let's get that out of the way first. Oh, and there is one particular naming convention we should get used to. For example, if you have a tag and then you have the ending tag, I'm just gonna call it the end whatever tag. And to put that into practical use, we're gonna actually begin constructing our HTML page. At the top of the page, we must have the HTML tag. Similarly, at the end of the page, we must have the end HTML tag. So that is simple. We have written our first set of tags. This won't do anything just yet. It will just say, well, this document is an HTML document. So now we move on to look at the title tag. This one is also very simple. Whatever you put within the set of title tags will appear in the menu bar of your browser. So that is all well and good. Let us now move on to actually defining the body text of the actual document. Well, I've already said the word. You're gonna have to enclose the body text within body tags. So start body, end body, the rest of your text goes in between. So let's now begin to look at some simple formatting tags. For example, the H1 or heading 1 tags will actually make whatever text you put in between become extremely large. like so. Tags also exist for H2 to H6 tags, and each one of them are a different and smaller size. Oh, you realize that, trying to move to the next line doesn't work, your browser doesn't pass that as moving to the next line, and that is because there is a tag for that. The BR tag actually moves your cursor to the next line, whereas the P tag will actually, create however much paragraph spacing is normal. In general, when we use the BR tag, it is the equivalent of just going to the next line with no line spacing, whereas the P tag will create a one line spacing. Now, the P tags actually have a start and end, and you can actually define where a paragraph begins and ends. But sometimes we just want to use the tag to add spacing, so we don't really need a start and end. What we can do is to create a tag that is a mixture of a start tag and an end tag. Here's how you do it. You write P in front like you normally would, and then you put a slash at the end. This means that this tag is both a start and end tag. So now let's move on once again. The B tag stands for bold, the I tag stands for italic, and the U tag stands for underline. Similarly to what we've seen, these tags also have start and end positions, and well, you can actually mix and match any of these tags. So you see, it's very easy to actually create a fully formatted document using just HTML tags, but so far, we've only been working with text. Obviously, HTML isn't that boring. For example, we can add an image using the Img tag. This is actually where we move on to having tags that accept parameters. When you use the Img tag, you can't just say, show an image. You've got to say show which image. And that is where we add the extra information. We write src, which stands for source, and then we give it a URL. Once we do this, well, an image gets displayed. Similarly, we can also have links, and in order to do that, you use the A tag. The syntax is href equals, and then you give it the URL. Enclose some text between that and the NA tag, and that becomes a link, which you can actually click on and will bring you wherever you point it. So really, we've covered a lot of ground with regard to the very basic HTML tags. Essentially, that is how entire web pages are built. Of course, we didn't cover a lot of things like tables, bulleted lists, and even more obviously, most of the time modern sites do things like CSS, JavaScript, and of course, these are things that we are far from covering in today's episode. So really, what today's episode is just a rough introduction to what HTML is. While what we have covered may seem trivial, HTML is in itself actually a very versatile language that can let you do a lot of things. While maybe you might feel that we didn't learn a whole lot today, hopefully this will be a good starting point for you if you are new to HTML. And well, armed with the knowledge that you've gotten today, you can actually explore further, read up. There are lots of tutorials on the internet, and those will probably give you even more detailed information. So well, that's all there is for this particular video. If you have any comments, queries, or suggestions, and well, especially if you want me to do any more future episodes regarding this, do leave a comment in the comment section below. Don't forget to check out the official Twitter account for this channel at twitter.com/0612tv. As always, I appreciate every like, favorite, and subscription you give me. But until next time, you're watching 0612TV.